To this great state of Texas, and of course, everybody else tuning in here on now the Striker soccer news. We're expanding, going a little bit more national, but of course, we still have the same great Texas takes you love to hear and discuss. Victor Riza with you, joined by Chris Bills. Chris, um, what a way! I'm sure over there in Austin, it's a more celebratory occasion than in the rest of the state of Texas. What's feel like in the capital city?
Yeah, on this Monday morning, Texas is Verde, right? And we get to hear from Houston and Dallas that the Copa Tejas actually didn't matter, and so yeah, that's the take
Who
from
said it didn't
outside
matter?
Austin. all the salty Houston and Dallas fans. That's what I've been hearing. No, I'm just kidding. Austin, yeah, huge moment for the club of Austin FC. I think to lift their first trophy up in Frisco. 1-1 draw gets it done. Diego Fagundes brings Austin back from what was kind of a nervy, back and forth game. I thought, similar to the game in Austin, I thought it was really high level match. But we'll get into the details. The first thing I want to talk about is the trophy celebration, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this, Victor, because I wrote a little bit about it. You can go check it out on my Verde notebook from the weekend's match. But Copa Tejas had to be sort of delivered in sort of a parking lot like setting. I mean, you've been to
Parking lot
Toyota Stadium, so
party up
you
in
know what
Frisco.
that. Yeah, you know what that looks like. It was kind of in that little no man's land between like the entrance to the stadium and the parking lot. I think the fans or the supporters decided beforehand, perhaps with some persuading from the Toyota Stadium and FC Dallas, that if Austin FC was going to win this trophy, that they weren't going to deliver it on the field. Somehow that message didn't get delivered to the players, who waited for about 20 minutes doing some dancing, kind of entertaining the
me
fans.
by surprise. I know we've been kind of compiling some. He caught me by surprise. I didn't realize the. Situation if an away team wins, it was going to be celebrated. Well, sour much. I guess you got to protect your home turf.
Yeah. No, it was an interesting scene, to say the least. I kind of I was trying to figure out where exactly the trophy was going to get presented. The players kind of waved the Austin fans to come to the other side of the stadium, and so you've got I don't know, at this point, I think there was over 1,000 fans who made the trip. At this point, it's probably 500-600 fans sort of like making their way through the stands, kind of like migrating to the other end. So I decided to go the other way and kind of follow the team through the locker room. By the time I got around there, they were already coming back in the stadium from lifting the trophy, and I kind of missed it. You can see that those videos and pictures, though. Austin FC, social media team was all over it, and they had a couple bodies that they were able to capture that moment. It was pretty cool. And you could tell that it meant quite a bit to the players to be able to do it for the fans. I think that this team has held itself to a pretty high standard, where they haven't really celebrated draws a lot this year. Even on the road, I think that thought it was pretty telling that Felipe Martins at the final whistle kind of put both arms in the air, made sure that the rest of the team was sort of in that celebratory space pretty quickly, and then brought the whole team over to the supporters. So I think that they really have embraced what Copa Tejas means to the fans. I think it means maybe even a little extra to Austin FC and its supporters, just because there's no Texas Derby there. And there's no Texas Derby there for those, that I think Houston and Dallas maybe care just a little bit more about still at this point. But Austin FC, I think that the supporters, there's so many of them that are either from Houston or from Dallas, and so I think it means a ton to get those bragging rights, and that's the biggest thing. And it's It was a good match though. I thought. Yeah, Victor, I think you're still having some audio problems. I think we're gonna have to maybe get you off those headphones or something. Unless I'm hoping that people can hear me at this point. But yeah, no, some technical difficulties here. That sounds better. At least you kind of sounded like you were talking through like a talking underwater.
Yeah, well,
one way or another. I think we got you now. Nope, we still don't. You sound like the parents from Peanuts. I think you've reached a critical age where we can no longer understand you, or maybe it's just me.
All right. Let me give you the highlights here. You can walk the situation. Give me a second.
Yeah, we'll work our way through this one. But I thought it was a.
We are waiting for Armando Villarreal to tell us it is time to play, and Jesus Ferreira will kick the game off.
You're on Twitter or YouTube with
Texas
the highlights right now.
Derby action, Copa Tejas.
But I thought,
Copa
Dallas
Tejas
really
and FC Dallas and supporters certainly don't want to see that happen here at Toyota Stadium. FC Dallas won 5 straight games earlier this year, but they had a loss against New York City FC the other night. And here's trouble, here's Hedges, a giveaway. Urruti in the first 30 seconds of the game has it.
Urruti could have gotten a shot off.
But
didn't.
They had a loss against New York City FC the other night. And here's trouble, here's Hedges.
In that mode where they were,
in the first 30 seconds of the game has a chance. FC Dallas has recovered and paused with a save on a shot attempt by Daniel Pereira. Boston scored to equalize the game in the 84th minute.
FC Dallas
a few weeks ago.
As we saw, 2-2.
Ball by Kenny Hill trying to play in Ferreira. Ferreira's able to reach it. They're coming out to make himself big. It's Brad Stuber.
Paul Arriola.
Jose
and Alan Velasco when he
had
his
FC Dallas,
those three,
set it out to the left-hand side.
I still think that
Velasco crossing, Velasco at the back post.
Really good team. They had this moment where they probably should have scored. The ball hits the post twice. I had some fans kind of getting in my mentions saying, "Hey, that shouldn't have counted as one total expected."
We are waiting for Armando Villarreal to tell us it is time to play, and Jesus Ferreira will kick the game off. Texas Derby action, Copa Tejas.
So what that should have been.
Voice Copa Tejas and FC Dallas, and supporters certainly don't want to see that happen here at Toyota Stadium. FC Dallas won 5 straight games earlier this year, but they had a loss against New York City FC the other night. And here's trouble, here's Hedges, a giveaway. Urruti in the first 30 seconds of the game has a chance. FC Dallas has recovered and paused with a save on a shot attempt by Daniel Pereira. Boston scored to equalize the game in the 84th minute a few weeks ago.
Did that off the bench.
Ball by Kenny Hill trying to play in Ferreira. Ferreira's able to reach it.
That was one where they were both
They're coming out to make himself big. It's Brad Stuber.
Forces Jesus Ferreira.
Jose Martinez, I believe, the player for FC Dallas.
In a couple minutes, but
set it out to the left-hand side. Now here's Velasco crossing. Velasco at the back post. Brings around and off the post. Hedges trying to poke it home. And somehow FC Dallas does not have the opening goal.
Jesus Ferreira, who's among the fastest.
A moment ago, off the cross by Velasco.
Good job by Velasco getting this cross off, and it's Arriola right here at the back post. Then it comes out from Matt Hedges' head.
Then Paul Arriola there.
Into the area to Fagundes.
In position
back
to make a play.
Driussi, shooting for his 12th goal of the year, and it's off the crossbar. Martin Potts leaping for it. Square on it, and goes behind for a goal kick.
A little miscommunication there
Austin
between
responded
Arriola, Tomasi, and Cervania. Everybody sort of followed the ball. Nobody got out on Driussi. He's not the one you want to give that look to.
But didn't create a whole lot until after that. FC Dallas goal. And here's the goal. You kind of see how Ruben Gabrielson.
Velasco's run continues. Returns the ball to Ferreira. This is really good combination.
There,
across to Arriola. It's a great team goal. And it's a lead for FC Dallas.
Those are two MLS All-Stars. Those two guys
does it to Austin FC again.
This is going to do great things for both of their confidence. Ferreira on the assist. Look at Arriola right there, desperate to get to the spot.
You know, that they've performed as well as they have against Austin, and I think
but they're not right now.
They've won 7 matches back, and 2 of those were draws against Austin FC, but I thought they looked every bit but they're in a bit of a slide right now. I guess, is Dallas good, or are they just good against Austin?
Coolly and calmly by Arriola. This isn't a cool and calm run, but it's a run into the box nonetheless by Nanu. And then it's across by Arriola, and a darting run to the near post. And Franco Jara takes it first time.
That's right.
Saved by Brad Stuber at the near post.
And the other thing
Jose Martinez earlier. So Hedges into Barra as the center back pairing. But the problems on the left side where Nanu gave it away. And now here's Fagundes playing in, and Paz comes out to try to close down the angle. But Fagundes has scored. It's 1-1. It's a mistake in the back. And FC Dallas has
Austin FC didn't find out until day of. Saturday, one of the team meals, they found out that Joshua
Driussi, there it is. That's Driussi. Fagundes makes no mistake.
First assist for Felipe this year to go along with the goal that he scored in a recent game against Atlanta United.
I thought that the team didn't
Free kick by Fagundes. There are options in the box. Pushed in with a touch. Saved by Paz. Double saved by Paz. With a half-empty net to shoot at for Austin.
Did well, but particularly Owen Wolf
was won by Hedges. Now it's
on
picked
that
up by Austin.
Goal.
Austin winning those second balls in the midfield again.
And danger here. Owen Wolf slides it in. Paz with a save. And he dives on the rebound as well.
Zone 14 where
it's a big save from Martin Paz.
The delivery from Ferreira. Will it be cross or shot? It's cross. There's runners at the back post.
You get that Diego Fagundes that much time and space.
And the game is over. It will finish up 1-1. FC Dallas had the last chance.
It's going to be a goal. So,
they don't finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an impressive result from Austin FC. And, Victor, I'll bring you back in on that question that I was asking earlier is FC Dallas a good team, or are they just good against Austin? Because they look pretty dang good in the 2 times I've seen them in person. Victor, I still think you're muted. Let's see if we can get Victor on here. Well, one way or another, we'll get this figured out. But yeah, and the other big storyline from Austin FC, as we'll just burn through all the Austin FC stories.
All right, let's see. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds better, Victor. We got
go.
you. All right, well, I was carrying the ship myself, but yeah.
Go, Chris.
So you've had time to think over this question that I've asked a couple times now.
Why is FC Dallas so bad lately? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Are they a good team, or are they just good against Austin FC? Like I thought that FC Dallas was for real. I think I said on this podcast that I expected them to outlast Austin FC, and that clearly hasn't happened. But in the 2 times they've faced Verde, they've looked every bit the part, and Austin still has not beaten FC Dallas in its history. I think it's important to note that as well.
Yeah, and then didn't last Copa Tejas, the one the previous year ended also in a draw, but obviously Dallas took that one. I think
Dallas actually came back. Dallas actually came back to win. So Dallas beat Austin 3 times last year, and in both games this year were draws. So I think a lot of Austin fans are hoping that all of them are wins next year. So you go all losses, all draws, then all wins. Would be how that math they're hoping works out. But anyway,
yeah. I think it's tough with FCD because they're winless since the international break still, right? I mean, it's been a run of games. At the beginning of the year, we were talking about Esteves and how he's sort of started to change the team a little bit. Velasco came in, and I think they're still trying to shift him around and figure out, where his exact position might be. But yeah, tough times for FCD. I think they have a potent attack, right? When it gets going, I think they're, maybe they still need that one big figure in the middle of the field, right? I mean, I think that's when we talk about, and I've mentioned this with Houston too, the biggest thing maybe that Austin has, and it's Sebastian Driussi, right? It's that number 10 figure. It's a reason why he's an MLS All-Star, right? Why he stands out on this team. Maybe he also should have had a more MLS All-Stars name, but I think for that reason, I mean, and obviously considered for the MVP race, the goals he scores, what he creates, the way he manages, I think that's something that Dallas still needs. Maybe they're trying to fit Velasco in that role, but he's still a young guy. I think you need a more experienced player, hence a guy like Drusy, where he's in that kind of age where he's entering his prime. Houston, I think, would do well to still get somebody like that. And the teams that have that player have won the MLS Cup in recent years. I mean, if you look at the Portlands, the Seattles, Columbus when they won it, and even New York City last year, right, with maybe a guy like Maxi Morales. I think you need that kind of presence. I think that's what Dallas is sort of needing to kind of link up all sides of the game. And until they get that, they're still kind of a wild card. And I think on their better days, they'll be what we saw earlier in the season, and then on their worst days, they're this.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, is with FC Dallas, we actually had a chance, Jonathan Check and I, check out our, on our YouTube, and if you go back through the Twitter feed as well, we were able to catch up with Dan Hunt, the CEO, the president of FC Dallas, and he was talking about. I asked him, just kind of point blank, are you looking to sign any players?
Here, but
he brought up
loss against New York City FC the other night, and here's trouble. Here's Hedges, a giveaway. Urruti in the first 30 seconds of the game has a chance. FC Dallas has recovered and paused with a save on a shot attempt by Daniel Carrera. Austin scored to equalize the game in the 84th minute.
They are
a few weeks ago.
Maybe get that off the bench.
Ball by Quinion, trying to play in Ferreira. Ferreira's able to reach it. But coming out to make himself big,
they
it's
need
Brad
another
Stewart.
Playmaker, and Dan Hunt shares
Jose
that
Martinez,
so
I believe, the player for FC Dallas, who
help could be on the
sent it
way.
up to the left-hand side. Now here's Velasco crossing. Velasco at the back post. Oh, it pings around. It's off the post. Hedges trying to poke it home. And somehow FC Dallas does not have the opening goal.
They can bring FC Dallas way and sort of.
A moment ago, off the cross by Velasco.
Good job by Velasco getting this cross off, and it's Arriola right here at the back post. Then it comes off of Matt Hedges' head.
Home draw where they were leading 1-0. He's going to kind of feel like the loss, especially
into the area to Fagundes.
In your house.
Back to
So I think it's time for FC Dallas to turn things around for sure. And I think if they do, I still think this team.
On it and goes behind for a goal kick.
A little miscommunication there between Arriola, Tomasi, and Cervania. Everybody sort of followed the ball. Nobody got out of Driussi. He's not the one.
But I still think
that
this team's got every chance to get to the Western Conference Finals and maybe beyond.
Ferreira.
I think really highly of this group and what he goes.
Velasco's run continues.
His first season.
Turns the ball to Ferreira.
I might be still a little bit too high on this. I'm not sure.
And it's a great team goal.
Well, no, I mean, I think there's things in the end when you see this holding tag.
Does it to Austin FC again?
You see what they can do. You see what they can do.
This is going to do great things for both of their confidence. Ferreira on the assist. Look at Arriola right there, desperate to get to the spot.
I wouldn't say it's a suffocating level of pressure, but they certainly had FC Dallas hemmed in, but they're not right now. They clear, they're on the break. Ferreira's going. He's got Velasco with him. Ferreira will lay it off. Alan Velasco. It was a little deflection. There's another deflection by an Austin defender, and the ball's tipped up on the top netting.
Can it be a contributor?
That was finished
off the bench,
coolly and calmly by Arriola. This isn't a cool and calm run, but it's run into the box nonetheless by Nanu. And then it's across by Arriola, and a darting run to the near post. And Franco Barra takes it first time, and it's saved by Brad Stuber at the near post.
For sure.
Subbing in for Jose Martinez.
They probably got more Tam and Gam laying
as a center back pairing, but the problem's on the left side where Nanu gave it away. And now here's Fagundes playing in, and Ponce comes out to try to close down the angle. But Fagundes
I think that's enough talking
it's a mistake in the back. And FC Dallas has been the case lately, is punished for it.
All right. Was that in San Jose or in Houston?
No, that was San Jose.
It was in San Jose. Yeah, but Houston, pulling out, a nice come from behind 2-1 victory on the road. That's a massive.
We're just moments away from getting this one underway.
Start. Take me through what happened.
Our referee, Tim Ford, signals the start of this one, and we are underway in the South Bay. Oferson still with the ball. Coco Carrasquilla. Dorsey, shot on it. It may have glanced off the post.
The ball was coming in from Espinosa.
In the 53rd minute. Thompson off the crossbar. There's a shot. Goal! If anything, Hidebe may have screened Clark.
It's a crazy play, right, where it goes off the top post.
As San Jose could not have.
That is like almost what you come to expect from the Earthquakes. If you don't get one of those scored
Jackson Ewell with Pico on him. Paul Marie. And Houston with possession. There's a shot he scores. The Quakes.
This one here.
A mistake on the back line. Ferreira comes on, scores his 7th goal of the season.
One of the most important players, big money signing in the offseason. Going on there, right?
Moving into a tie with Darwin Quintero.
69th minute, 2 minutes later.
PayPal Park
gives you this goal, right?
Ferreira fighting, giving it away. Here comes Espinoza, sending it to Bobacy. Oh, what a slide off the line!
Tim Parker there.
Then it was Tim Parker.
So
Quakes have to be careful, giving it away again. Quintero.
Here you see Ferreira again.
Ulferson. 2-1.
Kowski's goal, but poor work in the corner by Paul Marie and also by Nathan, in fact, just not getting onto Remedy and not clearing the ball and creating the danger.
Likely their last chance. Hit it wide of the mark. And Tim Ford signals the end of this one.
A leader on the field that this team has needed. You see what he means there after the game. There's obviously a team that's still trying to figure out what they're trying to become. But I think ultimately it's a much needed win because it stops a 4-game winless streak. It's a match that also stops a run of 1 win in 6 games. In the standings, they're about 3 points out of the playoff zone. They can get back in if they win against Minnesota, and that's ultimately the important part.
All it takes, and we know this, Victor, and you know this probably better than anybody. I was just talking to Glenn Davis for his show that'll air Monday afternoon or evening, and we were talking about how often Houston's been in this position the last few years, where the question is, can they push above that playoff line? Because that playoff line, it ain't moving out of reach anytime soon. That's just how this league works. You're going to be in the mix. Can you just string together enough
and
results?
Honestly, it's pretty attainable, right? I mean,
it is. That's the thing.
Get in 7 out of 14 in the West. I mean, unless you're a pretty bad team, there shouldn't be a reason why you're not getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the question for Houston. Can they move from being right now what is a mediocre team in the Western Conference, and can they go on a run of form that makes them a playoff team? I think that's they've got a little over 2 months to do it, and I think they've got the pieces in place. It's just a matter of can Paulo Nagamura pull the best out of this group and put those guys in the right positions to get it done. And the other question I got to ask you before we move on to a big story that's happening with Austin with the transfer window, and we just talked a little bit about FC Dallas. Do you think Houston's got anything left in this window to make something happen?
Yeah, we're not hearing much, right? And that's kind of that's kind of always the case down here in Houston. They'd have to buy down Teenage Hidebe to bring a designated player. Are they going to make that big kind of move? Is the big question. I think if they want to assure playoffs and B really want to contend this year and make use of this window with Herrera and maybe get a better value out of him too, they need to go out and get another designated player, another big key piece in the attack. They have to, right? I mean, the fact is that they should be beating teams like San Jose, right? These away wins, I mean, all applause and all credit to the team for getting them. But we remember, right, a Miami team that wasn't very good, an LA team that didn't have 2 other better players, or at least their big key signing or their big key player in Chicharito, and we've seen the shambles that the LA Galaxy are, right. So there is merit to some of these road wins, but there's also, I mean, when you look in between the lines, when you look at the fine detail, Houston still has to prove it against better teams. And ultimately, that's what's going to face them in the playoffs. what are they going to, if they stumble here against Minnesota at home, right, that kind of sets them back. That's been the story of the season. They need to start being more consistent, being a better team, getting better results, at least to secure the playoff, because that's been talked about being the goal for this year. And then if they want to make an extra jump, they need another signing. But I think that's wishful thinking for now.
Yeah. Speaking of an extra jump, Austin FC was living at the top of the table for a good week, but LAFC back on the pitch against Nashville SC gets the job done, and so they go back to the top. So Austin FC is currently sitting in second place, 1 point behind LAFC with one more game played. So technically, LAFC could be up as many as 4 once they catch up in matches played. Of course, LAFC, as you've probably heard, signing Gareth Bale and Giorgio Chiellini. Both those players played in Nashville, so they got a full arsenal. They're ready to go after MLS Cup. And what we're hearing is that Austin FC is also looking to make some moves, maybe bring in a DP winger, Emiliano Rigoni to replace potentially, we think, Cecilio Dominguez. Although Cecilio Dominguez still in Austin, still posting from his Instagram with his dog in Lady Bird Lake, living the good life in the summer. And as far as we know, he's been training with Austin FC. Josh Wolf says he's still doing a great job, but they don't know. They're just waiting to see how things are going to work out with that. Of course, if you haven't read all the stuff about Cecilio Dominguez, go back on the Striker. Go figure. Go. Read all that coverage on his situation, his suspension, and why he's been held out after a domestic dispute with his ex-partner. But we don't think that we're going to see him back on the field. But there is a DP spot that isn't being used right now. Cecilio Dominguez is still in that spot, but he's not on the field, and so potentially room for Austin FC to go out and get Emiliano Rigoni, a winger from Sao Paulo FC in Brazil. He's a Brazilian player. He played at Zenit St. I was able to catch up with Sebastian Drusi in Frisco after that match and asked him a little bit about his friend and countryman, and what he said is basically he's focused on his work, and if Rigoni comes, he comes. But I did ask him about him being friends, whether he's talked to him. He said yes, he has talked to him. The truth is that I have a very good relationship. He said I told him a little bit about the club. I told him that you can't come here to relax, but rather you have to come to work hard. And so Sebastian Drusi maybe doing a bit of recruiting, one of his old teammates, one of his friends, Emiliano Rigoni. We kind of caught you up on that situation on the Striker last week. You can go check out that story again on thestriker.com. And basically, the abridged version, Victor, is that people in Brazil think that this is basically done, that Austin FC is in on Emiliano Rigoni. $4 million would be a designated player. The problem is that I don't know how up they are on MLS roster rules in Brazil, but there's not room for him currently. So it's a big question mark whether Austin FC can get all of these pieces in place, to open up a DP spot for a player that could potentially be a game changer for this team as they head toward the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think just adds to the Dominguez saga, as you've mentioned. If they can get this done, and it sounds like they're going to get it done, right? From everything it's been reported. It's the rich get richer in a way, right? I mean, Austin's already at higher in the table, but they need to make a move like this again, right? If they're going to compete with an LAFC, sure, they've been out there and they've beaten them this season, but postseason it's a way different monster than the regular season, right? And especially now with the two big signings over at LAFC. I think you need somebody like this to complement the roster. Not saying that the roster as it is isn't as great, but I think even with their good moments, I think we mentioned all year, they need another player like this to bring him to a different level. And obviously, the impressive part is that Austin has been doing it without really two of their designated players, right? And Dominguez, who obviously had his off-field situation, and then Pochettino, who was all alone at River Plate, but is still kind of there, sort of waiting to see what happens with that situation. But for the team that's been built on the field, for the chemistry they've had, for the results they pulled in, to get somebody like that to take that extra jump and to see what they can do in the playoffs, will say a lot into how far the gap is between where they are and winning an MLS Cup.
For sure, and it is sort of a win now mentality if they are able to get that move done. But I think he's a guy that's got some familiarity, obviously, with Sebastian Driussi. He seems like a guy who would fit into this group. He seems like a guy, he killed it his first year in Brazil with Sao Paulo under Hernan Crespo, who of course is a Argentine manager, and then Crespo moved on from the club, was sort of let go, and Rigoni has been sort of on the bench and not doing a whole lot. So the thought process, I think, here would be you bring him in, you get him comfortable with, a couple Argentines and Sebastian Driussi, Maxi Ruti, get the Asado going, and he kind of points plugs right in. And it could work really well. The other signing that Austin did make, Washington Caruso, still hasn't played. It's been, a bit of a mystery box that Josh Wolf said, leading into that Atlanta match, which was over a week ago now, that he was going to be fit and ready to go. And we still haven't seen him on the pitch. So we'll see if he makes an appearance against New York Red Bulls at Q2 Stadium on Sunday. Victor, you've got a week ahead of you before your next match as well. Catch us up on what you'll be doing over at the Striker and what people can expect.
Yeah, big week in Houston. Midweek match here, Manchester City against Club America. So that'll be an interesting day there at NRG. We'll see how big of a crowd it gets, and obviously, Houston always kind of shows up for these events, so we'll have coverage of that. Over on the weekend, Houston Dynamo hosting Minnesota United. This could be an important game where despite the recent run, Houston wins, they could be right back inside the playoff 7, right? So I mean that's an important result, and it doesn't matter. Really, a run like this doesn't matter if what really matters is how the team is compared to the rest of their peers. And again, being in mid-July and right in the playoff mix, I mean I think that's probably where you want to be if you're really any team in MLS, unless you're underachieving, right? Like some of the other teams. But I think, we'll have some of that, and obviously, Dash got a big win over the weekend. So there's some piece also coming on the Spanish coach Amoros and what he did on that end. So all that stuff on the Striker, on top of all the other markets we're bringing now.
And of course, the biggest news for the Striker this week: the long-awaited return of John Arnold to the FC Dallas beat. So that'll be a big thing for FC Dallas fans to get John. Jonathan Check has filled in admirably, done a really good job, and I was able to catch up with him. He helped out on that Dan Hunt interview that you should go check out if you're a Dallas fan and you've stuck with us for this whole thing. I really appreciate you, and congratulate John. Let John know. Let him know, happy birthday, whatever the message is whatever you want to deliver, confuse the hell out of him.
Happy anniversary.
All the holidays. Happy anniversary. Yeah. All the holidays. Merry Christmas. But John's been away on his honeymoon. Congrats to John and his wife. And, we're congratulations to us for getting him back in town.
Yeah.
He'll be covered.
By the way, how famous does the guy have to be that he can't go anywhere in CONCACAF because they might recognize him? So he has to.
I know he had to go to Europe.
In Europe,
you can't mistake John Arnold around Antigua, Barbuda, any of those places. He's going to be a celebrity. Yeah, for sure. But he'll be back on the FC Dallas beat. FC Dallas against playing at Real Salt Lake, 9 p.m. kickoff on. Looks like that's Saturday, the 23rd. Might have my days mixed up, but I think that's right.
No more rivalry weeks in MLS.
Yeah, no.
At least for now, I guess.
at least for now. And Houston and Dallas need to get off that snide. Austin FC needs to keep things going against New York Red Bulls, one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And I think that finishes off Austin FC's Eastern Conference slate. We'll catch you up on all that on thestriker.com, of course, where you can find our coverage of Texas and also coverage of all the teams in Southern California, MLS, NWSL, and big weekend for us with J. Sam Jones starting his coverage of Atlanta United. That's been really interesting and great to see. So check on out the striker.com, subscribe. You got more coverage than ever to devour, and it really helps us continue to do stuff like this. And thanks again. We'll catch you next time.